Good morning and happy Sunday, everybody. I'm Charlotte McGinnis, and as always, I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in with me here on Sunday morning at 11:11 or at your convenience. And just a reminder, if someone you might think might want to watch this, they can always go to YouTube if they don't do Facebook. I do have a YouTube channel that I upload these talks on. My channel is youtube.com Inspire YOUTV. So all my talks are there, so go for it. Anyway, took a month off, didn't do classes, didn't do the Sunday Soulful Celebration, as you may know, and I did continue to keep up with the prayer ministry because I certainly didn't want to get those needs. I wanted to make sure they were met with our prayer support. So just a reminder that you can always plug in your request for prayer. You can text me, you can message me on Facebook, or you can go to my website, charlottemcginnis.com. And there is actually a drop down for the prayer ministry. And you can fill out the form and we'll get our team praying for the greatest good in all situations. So I hope you all have had a great month. I certainly missed everybody and I missed being here. And once or twice I was like, I think I'm going to pop in and do a talk. And I said, no, just that's my excitement, I guess, but I just decided to chill for the month, which is a test for me anyway. So here I am and glad to be back. So I hope everyone had a great 4th of July. Happy birthday, 250 USA, 250 as they say, and boy, how exciting is that? It's hard to believe that we are here after 250 years and what has changed. And I don't know if you guys have noticed on Netflix and YouTube and all the channels really, and of course the George Washington movie that came out yesterday at the theaters, which has been a big hit from what I understand, and I do intend to see it. But there's been a lot of movies and documentaries that have been leading up to this great event of 250 years, the birth of our nation and the founding fathers. And it's been really fun to watch those. And, you know, they do such a wonderful job with all the characters and the scenery and of course, the history lesson that we get with that. So I've enjoyed that, and maybe you all have been plugged into that, and maybe not. Well, today, The American Dream is the title of my conversation. And I'm going to give you a little history lesson, nothing you don't know already, but just sort of build up to really the American dream, which ultimately is the collective dream. And what that means for us and how we can participate. I look at this 250 as a opportunity to begin anew, as an opportunity to let go of our grievances, to lay down our swords, to really stay focused in love and what that means and how we can really be part of the collective dream moving forward. And of course, you know, the founding fathers came here with a dream from England good morning, Molly, 250 years ago, and founded our United States of America to achieve independence from Britain rule and establish a government based on the consent of the governed, protecting the individual liberties and enabling self-rule. And so the Declaration of Independence was an effect of that desire to begin anew, to really cut the ties with the British rule. And it, you know, some people call our founding of the United States a great experiment. And, you know, if you really take the time to understand and look back at the history lessons, the documentaries, reading the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and many documents that came from these great founders, you realize that they had a great purpose and goal and vision in mind. And if you really go back to it, if we live by those inspired measures that they brought forth, we could really be on to something, right? Well, so we're 250 years later. There's been great strides, great things have happened, no doubt. And we've lost our way, or it appears that we've lost our way along the way, but really we haven't. Everything is an opportunity for learning, forgiveness, right? And we have the choice of how we choose to go forward. So we're going to get into just in a few minutes about the collective dream, what that means, and how we can participate fully in that. But before we go there, I know that this collective dream is our collective dream. You know, and we're going to get into that too in just a minute and what that means. So I know a lot of you guys, including myself, you know, oh, I love this part of it, but not this one, not so much, right? But some people feel hopeful and some people feel despair or hopeless. And I understand that as well. It's turbulent, challenging times out there by the ego's judgment, no doubt. So how do we move forward with this new paradigm, beginning anew? Well, I think the answers are there for us for the taking, right? If we just allow ourselves to let go of what I think is the best for everybody, because I don't have a clue. It's really aligning my vision with my heart for the greater good of all. And if we all did that, wouldn't that be awesome? So, as again, the founding fathers say that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute a new government. Well, we're going to, of course, focus, it's 250, and the government, and talk about how we can be a part of this new beginning, this process, but also understand that this is not limited to government alone. It's every aspect of humanity and navigating through this world and everything that goes with it. But today it's obviously about government. So the crux of the Declaration of the Independence, a beautiful document, is we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal. They are endowed with by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This encapsulates the core principles of the document, asserting all individuals possess inherent rights and governments derive their authority from the consent of the governed. It emphasizes equality, the protection of fundamental rights, and the moral justification for establishing or altering government when it fails to secure these rights. Hey, Sue, great to see ya. So I think we've lost our way here a little bit, maybe related to this, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think the key point here is that we, the people, we've gotten it backwards. We've allowed the government, we've gotten kind of lazy, just dictate, tell me what to do, just sort of guide us. We've given our power over to the government. And it's really about us, each and every one, standing in our power and coming from a place of our true power, which is love, which is that inspired vision that comes from the Holy Spirit within us. And that vision will only meet the needs of the greater good of all, no one exempt. So we've sort of lost our way on that one. Again, no blame. We've got our stories. We could all go here and say, well, if it weren't for this, it wouldn't be this, and blah, 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 and we can get into that. That's not productive. That's not helping the situation. So we've lost our way, maybe not. Again, if you look at it from a metaphysical or a spiritual perspective, it's all in divine order, and that it is time for us, if we choose, to do it differently. So moving forward, I just want to I've been very curious as to another thing that seems to be happening in the movie, And it's really about understanding from the Constitution the Establishment Clause. And the U.S. Constitution protects religious freedom through the Establishment Clause, the Free Exercise Clause, the prohibition of religious tests for public office. And so the First Amendment explicitly addresses religion, stating, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Establishment Clause prevents the government from establishing an official religion or favoring one religion over another, ensuring neutrality. Neutrality is a big word, and we're going to get more into that a little later. Ensuring neutrality in religious matters. It does not prohibit an individual religious expression in public life, but bars government endorsement or coercion of religion. And Free Exercise Clause guarantees the right to hold and practice religious beliefs freely, subject to neutral laws of general applicability that allows citizens to act according to their faith while maintaining public order and law enforcement. Additionally, Article 6 of the Constitution prohibits religious tests for public office, ensuring that belief or non-belief cannot restrict access to government positions. So that one, in summary, the Constitution balances religious freedom and secular governance by prohibiting government establishment of religion, protecting individual religious practice, ensuring public office is open to all regardless of faith. And this framework continues to guide debates and legal decisions of the role of religion in public life, reflecting the ongoing effort to maintain neutrality, there's that word again, while respecting individual conscience. So I think, I would guess, from what I understand, I think the majority of our founding fathers were Christian, came from the Anglican Church of England, and I would assume that, and from what I understand, they were, and that's wonderful. But they made it very clear in the Constitution and in the founding documents that this is not a country founded on Christianity. And I know there's a lot, I will say that they probably use their Christian values to create these beautiful documents, and I think that they're very holy documents, but there's no mention of Christianity or Hinduism or Buddhism or Judaism. It's none of that. It's religious freedom and separation of church and state. So we've gotten maybe a little too much energy. I don't even want to put a judgment or a label on it really, but I do understand that the purpose and the value of this, and understand, I think there's a lot of push right now for people to, it's kind of like a brainwashing that this is a Christian nation and this is the way it's supposed to be. And one nation under God does not necessarily, one nation under love. And it's not the God of Christianity or Judaism or Hinduism or Muslim. It's the God of all, which really transcends religion. It's much more welcoming and universal. And that is the beauty of this country, is all are welcome. Bring your family over here and let's create some, this is again a great experiment. We're going to have lots of religions and lots of cultures, and that's what makes our country unique, wonderful, and beautiful. So just something to consider. It's not, again, about blaming and attacking, but recognition. And I think that my point is you can purchase, if you don't have it, and of course it's all online as well, you can go to, I would maybe read these founding documents, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence, just to understand that maybe we've been told, good morning, Tina, that what's being forced upon us. And I will say that the media is maybe not acting in the greater good of humanity. So if you watch different media outlets, they all have their propaganda that they're trying to brainwash us with. But these documents the founding fathers created for us were pure in intent. You can feel it when you read it. And if you understand it, you can say, well, you know what? I think that has some merit there. And it's about how can we all live together, get along, and even though we may have different color skin, different culture, different background, different religious beliefs or no religious beliefs, how can we get along? Well, I think that that's divine inspiration in itself, because I think that's the purpose of being here on planet Earth, that this is a big experiment that it's kind of like the cosmic joke, right? Okay, throw you all down there, you're all different, now figure it out. And we can, and we've got the tools to do so. Well, you know, another dreamer of really in more recent times, of course, is Martin Luther King. His I Have a Dream speech was a call for equality, justice, and nonviolent civil rights activism, envisioning a future where all Americans are judged by character, not skin color. And so I think, again, if we can erase all these labels and identities, and we talk about this all the time, we all have our identity, right? We have an identity to our families, our, you know, where we were born and raised and where we were educated or not educated, and our friends and bank accounts and where we live, and the story goes on and on and on. And then that's sort of our individual identity, right? And then we have this also, as Martin Luther King expressed, and I do believe the founding documents, that we also have, you know, our ego identities and skin color, and and backgrounds, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're seeing people by their labels and our judgment, rather than seeing beyond the veil and seeing that the essence of each and every being is divine and holy. And once you peel the color of the skin and the background and the stories, we're all the same. And I've heard it said over the years many times, and you know, if you really get to the crux of it, really people, we all want the same thing. You know, people, just from a practical sense of the word, you know, what we're seeking is a good, happy life, you know, good friends, you know, not a ridiculous amount of money, but just enough money to live your dreams and to be comfortable and to be able to share with others and to be healthy, and to our children to be healthy, and education to be nurturing to the spirit. I mean, everybody, really, we all are the same more than we're different. And so I think, again, building on this conversation today, it's about us coming to the place of, you know, what is for the greater good. So what is our dream? Well, I found this, I just stumbled upon this morning. I'd already written my talk, and I thought it was cute and pertinent. And Jim Palmer says, we've been waiting on Jesus for 2,000 years to return and save the world. We'll be waiting another 2,000 years if we don't shift our mindset. The transformation of the world is not going to fall down from the sky, but be lifted up from our hearts. So, there you go. So it's, you know, Jesus, wouldn't it be awesome? I mean, you know, I'd welcome Buddha, Jesus. I mean, how awesome will that be? Cool, I welcome that. But really, it's our salvation is not out there. Our salvation is it was within us, in the recognition that we are beings created in the likeness and image of God, which is light, which is love, and so is everybody else, and that God's will for us is to live from that expression and see beyond all these labels and veils that we put between us and others, and the story goes on and on. So I'm going to get a little more into the neutrality. And, you know, in the Course of Miracles, there is a lesson that says, I have no neutral thoughts. And what that really is saying is that I have no neutral thoughts because I'm constantly judging, and I'm judging from my programming and my thoughts about right and wrong and good and bad, and the list goes on and on. But my thoughts come from the past, and they're false. They're not real. So being able to be in neutrality means that I'm not taking a side. I am taking a side. I'm choosing to take the side of love, of God, and live from that premise. And with God, there are no barriers, blocks, divisions. And so I'll give you an example of we talked about this Friday in our book study, Way of Mastery. Everyone is welcome, by the way. And yay, of course, hey, Autumn, Renee, oh, thanks for the card. I loved it. So anyway, the idea of, in the Way of Mastery book, we're talking about neutrality right now. And they give a great example, and this book is actually inspired by Jesus, really bringing the Course in Miracles into a more understandable, practical, applicable way for us to understand, because sometimes the Course in Miracles text can be a little heavy, hard to understand, and the Way of Mastery is beautifully written, and you can feel the power of its words. And anyway, Jesus uses the example of, for example, trees and nature, right? And seeing how, who's right and wrong here. And he uses the example of a logger versus an environmentalist. Now, a logger sees the trees as income, as a resource for materials for building, and there's a lot of need for wood, right? Lumber. And so they don't see it as anything negative. They see it as a purposeful need. And of course, then the environmentalists see that we're clearing the fields and environmentally killing the earth, and the story goes on and on. So both sides they have their arguments and their viewpoints, and maybe they'll get in, and you can apply this to loggers and environmentalists or any, political party or religion or culture. You got the drift, right? But whatever it is, back to the logger and environmentalist, who's right? And it's really, my program is going to line me up more with this side or that side. But neither is right. It's all neutral. Everything is neutral. But my ego mind cannot see the world from a neutral perspective because I'm constantly judging. Well, moving forward, talking about how we can do this. I see this moving forward, beginning anew, as an opportunity to say, okay, what is the collective dream? Well, just to understand that, and I talk about quantum stew, this field is a quantum energy field, and that we're all, no exemptions, a part of it, and every thought, word, and deed and feeling is feeding the field. It's like throwing pebbles into a pond, and I can throw in pebbles of love or fear, judgment and defense, or collectively joining and God's will versus the ego's will, and so on and so forth. But we are all part of this collective experience. And I feel that, back to the founding documents, I think they were inspired by God, by love. And if we really got back to that, they're so beautifully written and so powerful. But again, what we're so good at as humans is, we manipulate everything to serve our ego rather than serve spirit. And I really see that we ripped them apart pretty good. And of course, just something to recognize, not to get your panties in an uproar over, upset, but like, that is true. Maybe we can do it different this time. So the collective dream, is taking responsibility of what we can do individually. I mean, I can't tell anyone else what to do, but if you want to offer the greatest gift to this collective dream that you can, send love from a place of neutrality and peace. God's will, not my will, be done. Love's will, not my will, be done. And to be centered and be guided. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say, and to whom? Give your day to God and be led by that. Give your day to love. Love doesn't condemn, judge. I mean, we can go into 1 Corinthians on love, but I'm not going to go there today. But you got the point. So a few ideas, quotes that I found interesting on the collective experience here is that the living expression of the nation is the collective consciousness in motion of the entire people. So if you want to know where we are collectively, well, we're seeing it. You want to change what's out here, we've got to change what we're sending out. And this world is an expression of all of our collective minds, intentions, energies, and there's a lot of love going in there, and there's a lot of fear. And just know that the power of love is stronger than the power of fear. So yay, we got that going for us, right? Well, so this is the collective consciousness of the motion of the entire people. Very powerful. So if we really understood how powerful we were and lived from that, we would never choose a negative thought again. Because if you realized how powerful judgment and negativity and fear are, just as love is so powerful, we'd never choose to go and align with fear and separation again. There's no, we sit there and say, well, why are these people being rewarded for bad behavior, right? They're not being rewarded. It's just, it's a big illusion. And, in the realm of eternity, it really does, all that matters is love. At the end of the day, only love is real. So, and we can create, and we have this illusion that there's a limited amount of resources. So if I give you a piece of the pie, then there's less for me. Well, again, God is infinite. The universe is infinite. There is no limit except in my mind. So let that one go. So another great quote, the totality of beliefs and sentiments common to the average members of a society forms a determinate system with a life of its own. It can be termed the collective or creative consciousness. So again, our collective, each of us individually is throwing those pebbles into the pond, feeding the quantum. And if you want to know where we are, so we collectively just look at the world. That's basically the response. The movie is reflecting our collective, right? And so there is a better way if we choose to plug into it. And it's not about, again, it's not, we're very quick to place blame, judgment, and point fingers, and guess what? The ego, that's like, oh, I know better, and they're horrible, and this and that. I mean, I get caught up in that. And then I'm like, nope, choose again, right? But that being said, it's recognizing it from a neutral place as much as possible and saying, no, I choose to see that I'm a part of this as well, and that there is a power in me that is so great that I have stifled because I've got so bent out of shape over what's going on and so judgmental, and I'm taking this side for the logger, I'm taking the side of the environmentalist, and so I lose sight of the whole picture because I'm in this right or wrong thing instead of the God thing, right? So nature is a collective idea, and though its essence exists in each individual, the species can never, in its perfection, inhabit a single object. So again, we can't, we think that we can take that piece of the pie and keep it, but ultimately, each individual can never, in its perfection, inhabit a single object. So we're not separate, we're not alone. So until we heal our belief in separation and relinquish our judgment, we're never going to be able to attain the fullness of God's intent, which is to to see the face of Christ in everything and everyone. And it's a very powerful quote. I was so happy to pull these quotes up. Thank you, Sue. Yeah, it is timely for sure, and exciting. I'm very excited about it. Franklin Roosevelt. People acting together as a group can accomplish things which no individual acting alone could ever hope to bring about. So, you know, it might look like there's one or two individuals or a handful of individuals that are holding all the power, and that's because that's what we believe. So, you know, the power of God the faith of a mustard seed can literally move mountains. But we're so, you know, programmed and intimidated and caught up in our anger and judgment and check, right? So it's more just of a recognition rather than yeah, I am there. Yeah, but I can do it differently. I can do it better. I see now where I'm lost. So this is a great from Boots Riley. Any collective action is made up of individuals who one day decided not to sit and watch anymore. And I think that's so powerful, true. You know, so many people, it's like, well, you know, there's no hope, and there's the elites or whatever it is are in charge, and they've got all the power. And you know, it's kind of like, well, we're just watching from the sidelines. Now, the thing is, I think some of us may feel, okay, I'm not going to watch anymore, and I'm going to jump in there, and I'm going to, by golly, I'm going to march, and I'm going to take a stand, and I think that's part of the climbing or lifting of the veil, and sometimes that can be helpful. But really, I'm not going to watch anymore, but I'm going to fully participate by getting my energy field so clear and my intent so clear that I'm going to just bless this entire experience with all the love I have, and choose to not get into judgment. It doesn't mean that we don't have, you know, preferences and opinions, but we don't have all that energy and division attached to it. So thy will be done, whatever that is, right? So, and Nelson Mandela, we must nurture tolerance, collective wisdom, and democracy. So we've lost our tolerance to some degree collectively. And it's just, again, a recognition, an opportunity for learning and to do it differently. We must nurture our collective wisdom and our democracy. So really the greatest ability that you and I, and each of us here today, and ultimately in the world, but since I'm speaking to the audience here, is, again, don't worry so much about what everybody else is doing. You worry about yourself. And by doing that, you know, just being a more loving being, you'll carry more power than you, as I said earlier, you could ever imagine. So this, in sort of winding down the conversation here, just remember, every thought, every word, every deed has an effect on our collective experience. And think of the 8 billion, that's, you know, how many souls are on the planet. We'll just use that as an example. So every thought, word, and deed, intention, vibration is throwing that pebble into the pond or the quantum stew, and it's creating our collective experience. So when you recognize that, say, you know what, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, but by golly, I'm going to live from the greatest degree of love as I possibly can. And I know that that it feels like we're lost, and I know a lot of people are angry and upset, but I don't think that this perpetuation of war and division and all the nonsense, all these BS stories belief system stories that we make up are working. Well, they are, because they're teaching us. But there is another way, as Helen Schuckman, the scribe of the Course in Miracles, said, many years ago, 50 some years ago, she said, there must be a better way and I'm determined to find it. Well, the better way is to live from love, step back, bless the world, pay attention to what pebbles you're throwing into the pond, and that is the greatest gift we can create. Because ultimately we don't teach, we teach by who we are, how we live, not by necessarily the words we say. And just something to think of. I think that more enlightened beings, just something to think about if you believe in ETs and aliens, and well, it doesn't matter. But, you know, a lot of the more advanced civilizations, if you choose to believe that, they communicate telepathically. They're pretty neutral. They're more the same than they're different, because they've shed their identities. So it's interesting to think about. So just something, didn't mean to go off track, but I do that all the time. So anyway, Terence McGinnis says, the imagination is the goal of history. I see culture as an effort to literally realize our collective dreams. And that is that the collective, I see culture as an effort to literally realize our collective dreams. And I see it as, you know, your dream and my dream are the same. And yeah, we think the dream is more this, more that, less, you know, whatever. We think we have a good idea, but we really don't know. So lay our dream aside. I want the dream of God. I have a dream that I see the world as awake and healed. Also, in union, this is Aesop, in union, there is strength. So the personal stats are good, but the collective is better. So, you know, one thought at a time, one pebble at a time, is how we move forward in completely getting to a place where the collective dream serves the greater good of all. And there's no more division. That to me is heaven. Heaven is a state of awareness, a state of mind, and just neutrality. So I'm going to close with a Steven Spielberg quote. If you haven't seen Disclosure Day, it was really a good movie. I liked it. Emily Blunt was amazing in it. I know some people, the reviews are interesting. They're kind of like all over the place, but I liked it, and it was cool. It was a neat movie. And anyway, Disclosure Day, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, you know, we've been hearing through the government that soon we're going to have all this disclosure about extraterrestrial, whatever that is, and so on and so forth. But who knows? It is what it is. I will be done. But Spielberg, in closing, makes an interesting quote. You have many years, and this speaks to all of us, you have many years ahead of you to create the dreams that we can't even imagine dreaming. You have done more for the collective unconscious of this planet than you will ever know. So don't forget your power. You know, here's a man who, Spielberg, look at the movies that he has created and people who are so creative. I mean, we all have creative abilities. But again, I think that, you know, we're looking into AI, whatever that is. I'm not going down that rabbit hole today. But things are changing, things are evolving, and we can move forward. We can go down the path of ascension and light and love and unity and true peace, or we can go down the path of judgment, division, war, hatred, poverty, sickness. It's up to us. We do it one thought at a time. So thank you all for tuning in today. Great to be back. And if you feel moved to pass this along, I'd appreciate it. You just share it, push that share button. And if not, that's okay too. So I will see you guys next week, Sunday at 11:11. Prayer Ministries here for you always. And the groups, we have the Joel Goldsmith on Wednesday, the Infinite Way, and Friday, Course in Miracles, Way of Mastery. and certainly would love to have you join us for any or all of those. So thank you all so much, and appreciate you all being here. Take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye.